Good evening, welcome to Left, Right and Centre. I'm Vishnu Shom. Projecting Hindi speakers alone as Indian citizens and others as second-class citizens reeks of divide and rule is what the Tamil Nadu Chief Minister M.K. Stalin said as Parliament's Language Committee has reportedly said that centre-run educational institutions should switch away from English to Hindi or the local language. Don't impose another language war on us is what M.K. Stalin says, directing his words at the Prime Minister. The BJP in a stated policy favours Hindi as a linked language among all states. On the show tonight, the latest in India's language wars, a parliament panel backs Hindi and regional languages to replace English at centres of higher education. Southern states say this threatens our linguistic diversity. Supporters of the move say English is a relic of our colonial past. That's our debate this evening. Joining us, Professor Kapil Kumar from the Indira Gandhi National Open University, Ravula Sridhar Reddy, the senior TRS leader with us, A. Sarvanan of the DMK, Geeta Bhatt joins us as well, and we'll be joined by our other panelists in a little while from now. Ravula Sridhar Reddy, do you see this as essentially less about language and more about a current trend of trying to do away with our colonial past? I can give you many examples.
It is not doing away with your colonial power. It is actually a kind of a conspiracy to impose Hindi over other languages. And are we going forward or backwards? The youth with global aspirations definitely would like to pursue education in English and many other languages. Now, if you take the current generation, actually, when they are actually choosing in their school education as L2 and L3, they are taking French and other, Spanish, other languages. Now you are talking about replacing English with Hindi. This is in very poor taste. I don't think the panel has worked properly, taking the aspirations of the youth of this country and taking the linguistic diversity of the country. And at the same time, why do you want to replace English with Hindi? You can add Hindi, rather you can recommend.
No, but Mr. Reddy, they're saying regional languages also. It's not necessarily Hindi. They're just saying replace English.
No. See, they said very clearly they should phase out English rather. That's what actually I understand.
Yeah, they want to phase out English, but what they're saying, and this is why it's a bit different. It's a bit more nuanced from what it's been in the past. Replace replace English with either a Hindi, depending on grade A, or replace it with a Kannada, a Malayalam, a Tamil, a Bengali, depending on where the language which is spoken.
Vishnuji, I clearly see today they said phase out English. Tomorrow they might say phase out the regional language also. They might impose Hindi. And this is not a right trend at this point of time. Why do you want to replace it with Hindi? And who asked you? Are
you okay with it being replaced by a regional language?
Come again. I didn't.
Are you okay with English being replaced with a regional language?
Absolutely not. Why
Absolutely
should it be?
not. Okay, so not just Hindi. Any Indian regional language shouldn't necessarily replace English. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me bring in my other panelists also. Geeta ji, it's my question is the same. Is this more about getting rid of colonial legacy, which is a present interest? Whether it's disassociating our armed forces with a colonial legacy, extinguishing Amar Jawan Jyoti because it's under a First World War memorial, talking about English as being a part of our colonial past. Is this what this debate is about? More about the culture associated with English and less about the language? Geeta ji, I think you're on mute. Geeta ji, you're on mute. Can you unmute yourself? Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, so Vishnuji, I was saying that if you look at all the Asian countries or the non-English speaking countries, everywhere if you look at their educational institution, look at their curriculum, their medium of education, it is their own languages in which they are teaching, whether technical courses or non-technical courses. And in fact, world over, the publishers who are producing such kind of books, technical books, they are translating it into their languages and sending those books to those countries. So what I think, as you have just put forth, there is a colonial hangover in the country, where whether it is the language or whether it is anything which is associated, there are a number of things could be added to it. It is something that we need to actually, over the last a few decades, we have so much moved away from our roots in so many ways that a large number of people are having this misconception that if we are trying to say that let Hindi become the language or the lingua franca, it is being taken as if it is being imposed to replace the regional Bharatiya languages, which it is not so. In fact, the parliamentary committee on the official language, which has 30 member of parliaments in its committee, and the Home Minister, Mr. Amit Shah, as its chairperson, their recommendation very clearly says that we should try to replace English by Hindi and not replace other Indian languages by Hindi. This is very categorically, this has been said.
Geeta ji, I get that point.
This whole debate about...
Geeta ji, I'll come back to you. Yogendra Yadav, just following up on a couple of points that Geeta ji mentioned, that there is a colonial hangover in this country. A lot of people would suggest that we are 75 years down, a proud nation. We've crafted our own identity. Whatever that identity may be, you may like it, you may not like it. Why are we suddenly discovering that English is problematic for us? And my question to you is not about English versus Tamil. My question to you is about the culture and the politics associated with trying to remove a language which we've used as, for education, for so many other reasons.
Vishnu, I've been on your program and have very often disagreed with Geeta ji almost on every single point. And it is my most pleasure and delight to say today that I almost entirely agree with her, with one qualification. I think, Vishnu, on a program like this, and I expect this of NDTV, we should have a somewhat nuanced and careful debate. To my mind, the debate is not about whether English as a language should be learned or not. Of course it should be learned. Of course we should learn Mandarin. Of course we should learn French. The question is whether English should be a medium of instruction and what it does as a medium of instruction. I have said it again and again and again. I'm astonished how educated Indians cannot understand the distinction between these two questions. In Britain, they are learning Mandarin. Almost every bright student these days is learning Mandarin. But Britain would never be foolish enough to start teaching them history, geography, and science in Mandarin. No country does it. It's only colonized countries which do. And this is not merely about colonialism, Vishnu. This is pedagogic barbarity. No linguistic psychologist would ever tell you, please teach children in a language that has nothing to do with their mother tongue. That's what's question. So I would like you to distinguish between these two questions. Learning English, yes. English as a medium of instruction, no, no, no. And the second is phasing English out and bringing Hindi in. I heard Geeta ji say something to that effect. I may have misunderstood her. But to my mind, bringing Hindi as a substitute for English is about as barbaric, about as unacceptable to me as the dominance of English today. Yes, English must be phased out, and yes, all our higher education should be closer to our mother tongue, especially to the standardized mother tongues as we have today.
Okay, so that's two important points, and Yogendra ji, let me just summarize that before I go across.
It is an insult to say that Tamil and Telugu are regional languages. I mean, for heaven's sake, these are languages spoken by some 60 million, 70 million.
Yeah, and with a history which defies the number of years that we can just... But just to summarize your point, you're saying, number one, that we need to have pride in our own languages. English needs to be moved away, perhaps as the primary language of education. But at the same time, it shouldn't be Hindi that necessarily replaces an Indian language, a regional language, as it were. Mr. Saravanan, would you agree with that? Would you agree? Let's deal with two parts of this question.
Yes.
So Mr. Saravanan, deal with the first part. The first part is where he says that let's remove English primarily, or move towards that, and replace it with our Indian languages as the primary language of, let us say, education. Is that something that works with you?
No. It cannot work in the Indian context, because we have done well. We have been a superpower. We are an economic might because of our proficiency in English. Can anyone become a doctor right now by studying in any regional language? Can anyone become an engineer? Can anyone become a software professional or an accountancy professional in studying in the regional language? So what gives them this trans-world aspirations? That is because of our proficiency in English. What Mr. Yogendra Yadav speaks about is...
Yogendra, one second. Yeah.
No, just a moment. He speaks about an utopian world. We are not there. It will take a long time to be there. We will talk about it when we are there. But right now, what is the roots of the BJP? The roots of the BJP is to do away with English and push in Hindi, so that Hindi will become the link language. English is the insurance policy for the pluralism of this country. So at any cost, English should not go away. If English goes away, this debate has been settled long back, 70 years back, at the advent of the Official Languages Act and the 1965 anti-Hindi imposition agitations. Why is the BJP bringing it now? The BJP is bringing it now to cloak its abysmal failures, to its utter failures. They want to rake up emotional issues and keep us talking about the important issues, the economics, the jobs, and other things.
All right, Mr. Saravanan, I get your point. Yogendra ji, I'll come to you after I go across to Professor Kapil Kumar, who's been waiting. Professor Kapil Kumar, the point is that why change something that works? English evidently works. It's attractive to young people. It's a language which we in India have distinguished ourselves in. Scientific training is done in English. Engineering training is done largely in English. Medical training is done. So why change that? This isn't to at all suggest that we don't encourage our Indian languages. Not at all.
Mr. Som, the issue is not so simple. On the one hand, we talk that colonial legacy should be done away with, but are not prepared to leave colonial terminologies. I will start with this. Okay. Which country in the world has two official names? Sri Lanka became after Ceylon, yes. Myanmar became after Burma, and we in our constitution have in English India and in Hindi we have Bharat.
Yes.
So this has to be settled. You see, why two? The country name at least should be one.
I take your, but about language, about English.
No, I'm coming to, no, this is a part of, you see, this is a deeper thing I'm saying. Those just reduced to college teaching or school teaching. I'll agree with Yogendra Yadav ji when he said, normally I don't agree with him. When he said that, why do you call this Tamil or Telugu or Malayalam as regional languages? They are all Indian languages. And before the advent of colonialism, before English language came to India, tell me what was the link language in this country? The whole country was interacting, right from Kanyakumari to Kashmir. You have the coconut in Srinagar and you have the coconut in downstairs and you have the kesar downstairs. The country was trading, economy was going on, people were studying. What was the link language at that time? Please tell me. I want to know that. Because people have their own modes to interact, to communicate. Symbol language. I remember I was in Kerala. I wanted to have hot tea. And this fellow was doing tea like this. And he won't understand English or Hindi. And I won't understand Malayalam. But we were able to communicate by symbol also. The question is, the more dangerous thing which is rare in colonialism is, I'll give you the example, to which our educationalists are not pointing any finger towards that. The biggest conspiracy to ruin the education system in this country was done when at the school level, right itself, we adopted that British European models of answering those objective type questions, A, B, C, D. No need to study. Don't need to apply your brains, only cram things. This is okay or not? It was the biggest conspiracy in this country.
But that doesn't have anything to do with the language. That's the method of study and the method of education.
You are reducing it only to a language question. I am saying that
No, sir, I'm looking at it not just from language, I'm looking at it from a cultural perspective and a historical perspective.
Also,
And sir, let me just
sir,
elaborate for half a second, sir. Firstly, a lot of people would suggest 75 years down the road, as a proud nation which has worked with so many languages and a system of education which in many ways has worked, it needs to improve, where we have defined ourselves in all of these areas in the English language, where we have a system of millions of people being educated, where English is desirable, where we are influenced by transcultural experiences in an increasingly globalized economy, that English as a language needs to remain. That does not mean that we don't nurture our own languages. So that's the cultural part of it. And if you look at the link language entire issue, there are people on this program who say that Hindi as a link language just doesn't work for them. There is no association with that.
Will you answer this question of mine? Before the advent of English, what was the link language in this country?
There was no
and
link
you want
language
to tell
at all.
me?
Was it Sanskrit, sir? I'm asking you. Was it Sanskrit? Was it a variant of Sanskrit, which was the link language? Is that what you're suggesting, sir?
You listen to me, sir. You are not let me speaking. If you don't want me in the debate, don't take me in the debate.
No, sir.
Normally don't come
You
to
have been
NDTV.
speaking. I'm asking you, please answer.
Today I came.
No, you aren't doing me any favors, sir. I'm just trying to say that
you are
I've
also
asked
not
you a
doing me a
question.
favor, any
Please
favor by
answer.
calling me. You are not doing me any favor by calling me.
No. Please don't get personal. We are having a proper debate
You are
over
not
here.
letting me speak.
You are
cut me
speaking.
in
Please
between,
go
you
ahead.
let others speak,
Please
but the
go
full
ahead. Please go ahead.
What I'm asking you is,
Yes.
there is much more deeper things. Don't reduce these things to education and doctor and medicine and all. You tell me one thing. When the ancient Indian Rig Vedas were written, or Kalidas wrote his texts and all, were they reading English? Were they doing it by that? 100% right, Yogendra Yadav is saying that mother tongue is the best thing to educate. Right in the beginning when you start from primary
But
education.
that is the education
you
given
leave it.
first. We all learn our mother tongues first. You may have learned Hindi. My mother tongue is Bengali. I learned that first. English is a language of education which we have adopted.
Sir, have the ground realities in mind.
I am telling you the ground realities.
Sir, I am also a ground realist. I don't speak in the air. And I'll tell you something what one has experienced.
This is from the ground.
After my MA, when I went to Delhi for my research in history,
Yes.
people had difficulty in saying hello to me. ये हिंदी मीडियम के पढ़े लिखे लोग कहाँ से आ गए, ये हिस्ट्री क्या जानते हैं? They had a difficulty in having a cup of tea with me. The brown sahibs at the colonial hangover. If you hold a...
All right, one sec, sir, let Ravula Sridhar Reddy also speak. Go ahead, Mr. Reddy, do you agree that we need to go back to what we were as Indians, adopt our own languages, forget about English?
Why are you putting words in mouth?
I'm really surprised. See, I also feel this should be a very serious debate.
Yes.
And I'm really surprised to listen to Yogendra Yadav on this. How can you expect Hindi to be, English to be replaced? And how can you agree to it? See, that's your opinion. But Professor Ji was saying about ground level reality. In Telangana, from this year, we started implementing English medium of instruction from 5th class onwards. And you see the kind of admissions in the government institutions. It's much folded this year compared to the previous years. And what is the, parents are expecting of? They are expecting their children to be educated in the English medium so that they can compete with anybody in the global spectrum. And now, see the question, I also have seen a provision in Hindi speaking states. If anybody in the future is not following the adder of following Hindi, they will be warned. Is this not against the democratic principles? How can you warn somebody? My question here is, now you can, since IIMs, IITs, all these institutions are run by you, you can impose Hindi, fine, you can impose regional languages. What about corporates? Can you push MNCs to follow the same order? Can you, push them to do the business in the, language whichever you wanted? We all respect our mother tongue. We all respect Hindi also. There is no differentiation. as Professor Ji was saying, all languages are Indian languages. Now, who is bringing the difference of national language or official language? It's the national government. That is why the apprehension. Now, you can recommend, rather you can create more awareness to use your mother tongue for simple usage or easy of transactions. But English is must to aspire big. English is must to do transactions at global level, and definitely it will give you more exposure.
Okay.
There is no need for replacing something. Now they will push Vishnu Som also to conduct discussions in Hindi in the future, even if cursed otherwise.
So I'm very happy to do them in Bengali.
But I'll be ready to answer.
But then we won't have a linked language then. You and I, Mr. Reddy, won't have a linked language in that case.
Vishnu will reply to that in Tamil. Probably you will have interface, technical interface.
All right, Yogendra Ji wants to reply. One second. Yogendra Ji, please go ahead.
Finally.
Vishnu, I'm very sorry.
Half a second. Yogendra Ji, go ahead.
I've been able to make even very, in such an erudite debate, I'm unable to get some very simple points across.
Yes.
Let me begin by saying I entirely agree with my friend Mr. Saravanan and Mr. Reddy that if Hindi is imposed on the Telugu speaking people, on the Tamil speaking people, it is completely unacceptable in this country. I'm entirely with them. What surprises me is their strange fear that Tamil, which is one of the oldest languages of the world, much, much older than English. Somehow this belief that medicine and engineering cannot be done in Tamil or Telugu, I'm astonished. Mr. Saravanan said this is a utopian word. Mr. Saravanan, that utopia lies about 500 kilometers away from this country. The name is China. China has produced engineers, doctors without English. Japan, which led some of the best technological innovations in this world, has never, even till this date, they do not use English as a medium of instruction. They teach you English. I'm unable to tell my friends, and so even you keep saying English education. For heaven's sake, please distinguish these two things. Learning English language, which must be encouraged, and learning your subjects in English medium. And for me, the problem with English medium is not cultural pride or colonialism. All these are important things. But for me, the reasons are very simply two. Number one, just pedagogy. Please, I request, I plead all my friends who are advocating English here, and including you, Vishnu, please produce one paper in linguistics or cognitive psychology. Educational psychology. Produce one paper that says, please allow me to speak, sir.
One second, let Yogendra finish, and then Mr. Saravanan and Mr. Reddy, I'll let you reply. Yeah.
Sir, please produce one paper in cognitive psychology, linguistics, or pedagogy that says that instruction in a language other than your mother tongue contributes to education. Just one paper, please show me. Every single study has repeatedly demonstrated that it is only in mother tongue or any language very close to your mother tongue that you should be given instruction. This has been done, can be done, it will take effort, will be done. And my final objection to English domination is that this is a class division. Vishnu, I'm astonished to hear everyone is saying we have done, this system has worked very well, all is well. My friends, this is apartheid. And
okay,
in apartheid,
all right, okay. I need to get reactions on that.
All was very well with apartheid. This English media has
Okay, Yogendra ji, respectfully, I disagree, but let me not be a panelist on my own show.
Yeah.
Let me get Mr. Saravanan to respond to you first. Go ahead, Mr.
Vishnu,
Saravanan. Yes.
Vishnu, it is still an utopia because we don't have that system yet. I am talking about the present. I'm not talking about the future. In none of the regional languages, you can aspire to become a doctor or any other professional. So what it requires? It requires funds. It requires huge time. Do we have that right now? Is the union government willing to spend that kind of money on all the other regional languages is the question. Because all the taxpayers pay the money to the union government and the union government spreads it across by the union budget. Do we get our fair share? 80 crores for Hindi, teaching Hindi. What is the money that is spent on promoting Telugu, Kannada or any other regional language? So that is why we call it utopian. We are in a very peculiar situation. India is a union of states where none of the regional languages or the same. The states are divided on the language. So we need a language which can unite us, integrate us. Hindi can never unite or integrate us. That is why we are saying English.
Okay.
If we all are different, separate countries, no problem at all. If you are like Europe, no problem at all. There is absolutely no problem.
All right. Okay. Look. We can go on. We can go on with this, and I'm sorry, I do unfortunately need to wrap this up because I'm completely out of time. Geeta ji, apologies to you because I know I should have had you on the commenting a little bit more. But it's an enlightening debate and a heated one, and one that we'll certainly revisit. I'd like to thank you all very much for being with us. From all of us here, goodbye.